Putin is learning a painful lesson. Repression can accelerate revolt. The more the Kremlin clamps down on small acts of dissent, the faster those acts spread. Even teenagers singing in the street are spreading dissent. Street concerts have gone viral. Arrests have often ignited sympathy rather than fear. This paradox helps explain how simple songs have become a national issue for a leadership that expected compliance. The timeline provides clear evidence of this pattern. Early this year, a small band in St. Petersburg began performing anti-war songs in public squares. About 8,000 followers on social media as of mid-2025. Then, in mid-October, one performance went viral inside Russia. Hours after that performance, the authorities arrested the lead singer and 2 drummers. The lead singer is Diana Laginova, also known as Noah. She is 18. A local court first sentenced them to 13 days for noise pollution. After serving the 13-day administrative sentence, police were waiting outside the jail. They were re-arrested on charges of discrediting the army, a broadly worded criminal offense that can carry up to 5 years in prison. This sequence of street concert, viral video, short administrative jail term, and immediate re-arrest on a heavy criminal charge is the key result. It separates the claim the band sang from the confirmation. The state punished them severely. Since that incident, the evidence of broader unrest has multiplied. Thousands of Russians have been convicted of discrediting the army since the invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Street musicians across cities began performing the same banned songs. Hashtags such as #FreeNoah and #music is not a crime trended briefly on domestic platforms. Leaflets, posters, and small solidarity protests appeared in St. Petersburg, Moscow, Yekaterinburg, and elsewhere. A petition had nearly 40,000 signatures at the time of writing. Why a song becomes a political threat? There is a structural logic to this clash. Over recent years, the Kremlin has invested heavily in patriotic education. State programs, school classes, and patriotic messaging aim to align youth sentiment with the war effort. Simultaneously, new laws criminalize public criticism of the military and label dissenting cultural figures as foreign agents. The combination is simple: reduce available channels for dissent, then punish what little breaks through. Artists become targets because their work travels. Music transmits quickly and emotionally. A short performance recorded on a phone bypasses licensed media and state controls. For a regime trying to control narrative, that is a real danger. The law against discrediting the army is the legal tool. The cultural gap between what young people see and what the Kremlin demands is the fuel. Because the law is broad, the punishment is a political signal. Dissent will be framed as treachery. Who benefits and who suffers? Who benefits from this crackdown? The immediate answer is the security apparatus. The FSB and related institutions gain authority each time a case is opened. They can redirect public attention from economic pain by pointing to a foreign or domestic enemy. But these immediate benefits are short-lived or diminishing. Repression costs legitimacy. Instead of silencing dissent, the arrests turned the band into a symbol. Teenagers across Russia now perform the banned songs in solidarity. Street musicians record themselves and post videos. Small protests appear outside government buildings. Who suffers? The obvious victims are the arrested musicians and their families. They face lengthy legal processes and the possibility of years behind bars. More broadly, a political cost is spreading. Trust in institutions is falling among a younger generation. Economically, the state is under strain. The Ministry of Economic Development has warned of systemic fragility as the war drags on. Analysts estimate banks hold up to $200 billion in non-performing loans linked to defense contracts. Fuel shortages, hits to refineries, and sanctions on Russian oil companies have tightened cash flows. The combination of economic stress and cultural backlash creates an environment where repression looks less effective and more desperate. How outside actors and geopolitics matter. This is not only domestic drama, it has geopolitical implications. The Kremlin's response to tightening internal dissent includes searching for external enemies. Recent headlines highlight criminal cases opened by the FSB against exiled businessmen and opposition figures. The logic is classic: create an outside enemy to unify the base. NATO and foreign media become useful scapegoats. In parallel, sanctions and attacks on infrastructure, including Ukraine's campaign against Russian refineries and measures targeting oil giants, reduce state revenue. The strategic consequence: Russia's internal pressure raises geopolitical risk. If domestic unrest grows, Decision makers in Moscow may recalibrate foreign policy to shore up internal legitimacy. That could mean more aggressive messaging, tighter information controls, or attempts to marshal patriotic support for the war. It also creates openings for opposition networks abroad to gain influence among Russians disillusioned at home. Personal voices matter here. Noah put the choice plainly. Art is the only language, at least in Russia, through which you can express what you think. I chose it, and I don't think I want to speak any other language. Outside the concerts, a professor jailed for tweeting a song described the legal process as a circus, saying officials acted to curry favor. In court, he said, in part, "How do you feel? I perceive what's happening as a circus, where the roles are played by evil clowns from horror movies. But it turned out not to be scary, but pitiful and absurd. As you understand, I am accused of trying to undermine the state with songs." And later, quoting Pushkin and reflecting on 2 songs he shared, he said, "I have 2 songs here. One is a scout song from the 1920s, and the other was written in 1932. It's about how it's better to die in battle than to live in chains like slaves. Those who initiated the case imagine. Here's this man, I posted a song on the Contactor, and the nuclear superpower collapses. I post a song on V Contacte, and they imagine the entire state collapses. What do I do next? I post another, nothing happens. Yet they continue to claim my criminal intent. Again, nothing happens. From this, I can say the following. No one stood with a gun to the head of those people who conducted the investigation, presented the charges, or extended my detention every 2 months. All these people acted voluntarily, guided by considerations of personal gain, striving to curry favor with their bosses. He asks rhetorically why anyone would entrust freedom to such people, condemning their behavior in strong terms. He accuses them of passing down a legacy of oppression, but I see these people who come to support me. He quotes Pushkin. In 200 years, nothing has changed in Russia, suggesting rulers continue to oppress peaceful people. He argues via Pushkin that some rulers will not respond to appeals to honor, a bleak assessment. Their inheritance from generation to generation is a yoke with rattles and a whip. These testimonies make the political stakes tangible. They show how ordinary cultural acts like songs, tweets, and concerts have been reframed as state security problems. What to watch next? Watch for escalation in 4 areas. First, legal escalation. More high-profile cultural prosecutions. Second, contagion. Widening solidarity performances across more cities and platforms. Third, economic signals. Bank solvency, fuel availability, and whether the $200 billion in bad loans forces policy shifts. Fourth, political framing, whether the Kremlin doubles down on external scapegoating or tries to negotiate domestic breathing room. For citizens and observers, the takeaway is clear: repression can backfire. When a regime uses heavy criminal law against artists and teenagers, it risks turning small acts of dissent into national symbols. That dynamic changes the balance between coercion and consent. The band that began with 8,000 followers now occupies a public drama that raises a deeper question. Will generational disillusionment become a political force that matters? Or will the state's legal and security machinery succeed in pushing these voices out of public view? Readers are invited to comment.